Hello, my name is Glenn Thomas. I am the pastor at St. Matthew Lutheran Church in Omaha, Nebraska. In 2007, I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder that, among other things, gave me arthritis. Over the course of treating that arthritis, I developed multiple sclerosis. In the process of this whole journey, I have learned a lot about myself, and quite a lot about the grace of God, how He functions in my life, how He brings His healing power, even into the midst of this disability with which I live, and how He calls me to be a sign of grace, even as different as my journey has been. Recently, I had a chance to read this book called Strong at the Broken Places by Dr. Stuart Govig. In the 1980s, Dr. Govig was invited to be a part of a commission of the American Lutheran Church to study how the church helped people, served people, ministered with people who were living with disabilities. And in the process, though Dr. Govig has his own chronic disability, he discovered some amazing things. As I've read this book, I realized that much of it was written toward the larger community. How the community saw people who were living with disabilities, how the community served and helped people who were living with disabilities. But in the process, I also gained some insight into my own journey and my own experience and who I am as well. And I found myself challenged to take my own experiences and find them as an opportunity to bear witness to the grace of God for the sake of all of those who are around me. These reflections are based on things that Dr. Govig wrote, but are also based on my own sense that part of what it means to live and travel the journey that I've been given is that it is a particular calling to bear witness to the love and the hope that God gives us every single day. Dr. Govig begins his work with a quote from Ernest Hemingway that says, "The world breaks all of us, and then some become stronger at the broken places." The cross reminds us that we discover the grace of God where He is present in the most difficult part of human life, in pain and in suffering and even in death. As we go through life together, those of us who live with disabilities have an opportunity to share our own experiences of grace in powerful ways to the community around us. And as we have been transformed in our own journeys, we have a chance to change the world as well. I hope that you'll find these reflections helpful in your journey. I hope that you'll find a word of healing and help in your own struggles. And I hope that you will use these opportunities to use your unique place in the community to bring God's love to others. Let's begin with some words from the book of Galatians. Paul writes, "May I never boast of anything except the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, by which the world has been crucified to me and I to the world. For neither circumcision nor uncircumcision is anything, but a new creation is everything. As for those who will follow this rule, peace be upon them and mercy and upon the Israel of God. From now on, let no one make trouble for me, for I carry the marks of Jesus branded on my body. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit, brothers and sisters. Amen." It is fascinating how words play such an important role in the life of, in the way that, in our ministry with and for people who live with disability. In my lifetime, we have moved past so many really hurtful and harmful words that had become a part of our vocabulary. Words like crippled, words like lame, which obviously we once applied very specifically to people with physical disabilities and now has become almost a slang term that we use in such general ways. Invalid, a fascinating word, right, that we would apply to a person as if they were somehow not valid, right, not important, not actual, not matter, to matter not at all in the world. Terrible things that we say, and of course we've gotten better I personally prefer the language of a person living with a disability. We use the word handicap. That's not a terrible word either as well. But of course, fixing the words don't change the reality. As a person with a disability, I'm different in the world. It's noticeable because I walk with a cane or some other mobility assisted device. It's obvious when people see me, and it's fascinating, of course, how they react to me. And as I become aware of seeing people's reactions to me, it has helped me think about my role and my place in the world. Because the question is always, they're looking for a way to help me, or possibly to avoid me. And the better question for me is there some way for me to help them? I love how, both as I've gotten older, but of course especially now, as I walk around with all of my need of help, people are fast to open doors for me, quick to give me places in line or to make space for me. And that seems wonderful. But it is a reminder that because I am different, there is also a sense of a different regard for me, almost a dismissal sometimes of who I am, a focus on who I am as a disabled person and not on the wholeness of who I am. That is the first thing that people see about me, sometimes the only thing that people see about me. And we know that, especially in the cases with other kinds of disabilities, mental health disabilities and so on, there's also factors of fear, right? And people feel guilty when they see other folks with disabilities, or sometimes they just feel angry because it seems like there's something special and privileged for people who are living with disabilities, and that makes them feel unhappy about their own lives, right? The challenge is, how do we get people to see us as a whole person? For those of us who live with disabilities, that becomes sometimes our great challenge. And the answer to that begins with us seeing ourselves as a whole person. I have discovered that it is pretty easy for my disability to dominate my life and my sense of self and my own identity. Because it does, in all honesty, because it affects everything that I do, because it is a 24/7 partner in my life, but it doesn't have to be all of me. Just because it never goes away doesn't mean I can't rise above it and be more than it. And it is my own self-understanding, it is my own sense of self-worth that is the beginning of helping others see the whole of me and my worth and my value in society. It is my ability to get beyond my own disability that will help others also get beyond it as well. That's an important and difficult spiritual exercise. When you live in constant pain, when your abilities, when the things that you want to do are limited, it is very easy to get caught up in that self-identity as a disabled person. It is a daily challenge, I think, to us, a calling, a kind of discipleship, for us to come and learn to define ourselves as more than just our limitations, but to remember and recover the parts of ourselves that have not changed despite our disability. And as we find that within ourselves, then we have an opportunity to communicate that to others, to help others see that even if we have challenges, we still are doing our best to live as much of life as possibly can. And that can be a gift for them. Of course, here's the secret that people who live with disabilities know. We all have a disability. We all have challenges. We all have shortcomings. We all have things that get in the way of us being the whole person we want to be. And while it is not our responsibility as people with disabilities to be an example of heroism and bravery and courage for others, it is still an opportunity for us to show that as we are capable of living with our limitations, so others can find and discover new and amazing things about themselves in the midst of their limitations as well. They may not have a handicap that forces them to walk with a cane or a walker or to live in a wheelchair. They have other things that are holding them back. But we can be that example. We can give witness that God's grace is still alive for all people, no matter their limitations. And if God can help me live the fullest life I could possibly have, then imagine what God can do for others as well. There's an old saying, right, that tough times never last, but tough people do. And kind of a hard saying, I think, sometimes, even though there's certainly a truth in that. The thing, of course, about chronic disabilities is that they do last, and they don't go away. But I have discovered that grace is also chronic, and it also lasts, and it never goes away. There are days, admittedly, assuredly, that are hard. There are times when it's just difficult to get going. It's part of the nature of my particular disease that there are days when I'm just exhausted and totally fatigued. But there are also days that are better, and opportunities to do better and to be better. And that is why we call this ministry Persistent Grace, because even though occasionally, to be literal about it, I might trip or stumble, I know that God never does, and that I have the opportunity always to pick myself up and to go forward again. And if anything, that's the best gift I have to give to the world, that people can see as God's grace persists in my life, so it will also persist in theirs. Let's have a word of prayer. Gracious and Holy Father, how amazing it is that you stay with us, how that you not only overlook our shortcomings, but work through us just as we are. Help us to share that good news with one another, to be examples of that grace for one another. And use us, O Lord, to lift up all who feel low this day, that they might discover what it means to live in the light and in the joy of your kingdom. We ask that in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless. You have a really great day.